Okay, on the next one, it's a collaborative, also like last meeting follow-up, so what we have to do is, what are we gonna actually track and how, so. I think you and I are kind of in the same boat where we track our weekly maps, obviously, and we're trying to track that.
I think I said, is that the same as when I said, things that are being turned in?
Yeah, like
Okay.
assignment
Like
completion.
actual
project.
assignment completion, yeah.
Project completion. And then you have rubrics, obviously, that go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, project completion, rubrics, for assessment. Megan, what about you?
What did I put last time?
Mostly your vocab, word of the week was like your biggest one to track.
So yeah, I'm tracking that, and now that they're registered for soft skills, I'm tracking that. I really do think that alleviates you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think almost all of the students you got, from me at least, were completed on that, so I think that helps you guys a lot, so track that and make sure that that gets done.
Yeah. Mine's gonna obviously be weekly maps, but I also need to really focus on, their testing, and, like chunking that information. Her and I both talked, like, it's been a little bit challenging with like testing, even though like we create flashcards, we create the study guides, things like that, so I think like that's why, I think we can focus on, I gave you guys one of these, right? So I'm thinking let's try this again together since it's new. I like it, it helps me understand a little bit better about lesson planning. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but yeah, I feel like it's helpful. So do you guys like the idea of doing perming, or what's another one that you guys think kids are challenged on?
I mean, really, since you just went over it, I think that a really difficult concept, and I'm not sure how much you cover, I feel like you probably do some, is like hair cutting, like actual terms. I think that one's a really, really hard one, like as far as line and form and like all the definitions, like do you cover some of that stuff?
A little bit, I try to cover any vocabulary or terms that I know for sure are gonna be on state board.
Yeah, or like graduation or like that kind of stuff, so we can even say like hair cutting terminology.
So let's do that
I
together.
just think terminology in general.
Well,
But yeah.
If we were to really narrow it down, we could say like hair cutting terminology.
Okay, so let's say hair cutting terminology. So our anticipated struggles, obviously,
Not being able to memorize.
Memorization.
Now, do we have to like narrow this all the way down? Like, because to me, memorization is still broad, right?
It is.
So,
it is.
like, do we need to narrow it down more than that?
I mean, it's ideally,
Well, and I think it needs to be more than memorization. And try to get them to understand why, or find a way to.
Cause that's like where, like our instructional cues come in. So if we're thinking about instructional cues, like, okay, we can have bolded words, we can try, I mean, this year, this is like the first time I've done this with everything, but I've been making them do the flashcards, cause obviously writing things down helps you memorize, but that's where I struggle. Like, I'm like, okay, what more can we do? Because we do the flashcards, we do a worksheet that has the exact same information but written differently. So like fill in the blank, whatever. But I don't know how you guys feel about that. Or
I just know when I did it, like, I just literally had a session where I sat and I would write out like on the whiteboard, like just how I would explain it. So I mean, it was like a true like lecture. But, I mean, I used to solely only do theory, so I have different ways to explain things, so I think, I don't know, I think it just comes down to associating it with other things and like visuals, what would do it.
So, for like the anticipated struggles, we could say like memorization, also we could say, and maybe this doesn't really work, but like, not having time to look at it outside of school, so really pushing it like more in school.
I almost thought, like, this is something I haven't tried, and it sounds kind of elementary, but I thought, well, what if I start having them have study sessions in partners, like, hey, do your flashcards together. So like,
I don't think that's elementary
play
at all.
game, you know,
I don't
like,
think that's elementary at all.
especially because like, yeah, we can do Kahoot and things like that, but I feel like they're not as engaged after they do like 1 or 2 rounds of it, you know, there's like,
way, like, I don't know, just to kind of switch things up, like, I wouldn't mind, you know, if I had days where my students were just doing like, independent work, if there was, you know, we could like switch around teachers, like,
Yeah.
just having a different view of things.
Yeah,
Cause I
that'd
think
be
we
a good
all
idea.
have different perceptions on how we teach things.
Probably, yeah, and it would probably be helpful for them to hear from other people too, because it's
Yeah.
like they see the same person every day for
Just,
hours.
yeah, just different perspectives.
Okay, yeah, that'd be a good idea. Teacher switch. Okay.
Cause I wouldn't mind, like,
Yeah, that'd be
you know,
good.
I've prepped them a lot of times for statement, so.
Yeah, I think
It's
that'd be
something
good.
they're struggling on and.
And, yeah, I think you're right though, too, Kasha, like, I think it is like just the making the time to study.
So we almost need to give them plenty of time here to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Another anticipated struggle is I think they get things confused, like confusion on terms, like mixing them up.
Especially with haircut, and there's so many
Especially
that's
with haircuts.
similar.
Like, for
Yeah.
example, like, one of the question that almost everyone missed, oddly enough, was the one about graduation, and it was asking, it said what angles, or what elevation is the hair held at? Up was the most common answer, up. It's like, no, I'm looking for the 0 to 89.
Like a degree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was shocking, cause I was like, wait.
Or just understanding what
Yeah.
elevation means, like they,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
it's almost like you have to go back and teach them,
You have to teach
What
the
the-
terminology to
so,
learn
like,
the terminology.
yes, like whatever the definition is, I've learned that sometimes the words in the definition they don't understand.
Yeah.
So you have to teach them what
Those mean.
those
too.
mean in order for them to understand.
I
what the word
rephrase
means.
everything.
Mhm.
I like to, when I teach something like that, I rephrase it all in my own words, so it makes more sense. Like the layers of the skin, I did the same thing.
Oh, yeah, that was hard.
And I like connected it to something else that they already know, like, you know, I would say like the stratum lucidum. Everybody heard the song Lucid Dreams by Juice WRLD. Like I connected all these things together and it seemed like they understood it more when you put it on like their
Something like
I
that.
break it
Yeah.
down, like find parts of the words that sound,
Yeah.
like on nails, like the lumula, I'm like, what is
Luna,
luna?
it's a
And they're like
moon.
moon, and I'm like,
It's a
okay, so
yeah.
it looks like a moon, it's like on your, you know.
Yeah.
So then you connect it to something.
So when we're doing this, what, like after the struggle, where do we go next?
So you can go either way, but I think to me, it makes the most sense to go up top left to like, okay, how are you going to start with instruction? So when we think about that, we've got, you know, what are we gonna do for our strategy? So things like games, flashcards, visual aids. The peer mentoring idea would be under that category. I think even the strategy of switching teachers, you know, having that person that comes in and like re-explains things, cause like you guys said, we all have like mnemonic devices that we use, you know, and we all had to take the test too, so we might have ways that we study that are different.
I just know I would always do literally like dumb things like with my hands and say silly things and I would just get laughed at. But then they'd come back
They
from
remember
board
it,
and they'll be like, I remember you doing this weird like hand thing. And
Yeah,
they're like, that's why I got it.
yep,
So
cause that's how I
that's why I
learned.
think maybe it
mean,
would help if there's a little switch around on
Yeah.
certain things.
And then we can go into, so how are they gonna respond to data? You can go that way, or we can even go to assessment, how do we wanna assess? So, we can say things like, hello, Mr. Jones. So we can think about how we wanna assess, so for example, like the last haircutting test I gave was fill in the blank. Where I feel like after learning about the roadmap, where I feel like I went wrong was, it was helpful for me to realize I should have provided a word bank, and I didn't. Only because I thought, well, the study guide was the test, I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna get them to start memorizing, but we're not there yet. It made me realize very quickly, like, we're not there yet, they needed a word bank. So, you know, or if it is multiple choice, you know, making sure we bold some of the words in the question, maybe that would help lead them to the correct answer. I don't know if you guys think that would be helpful.
I do that in review, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I try to emphasize certain things, or
Right.
even when I like read through the question that I know is on the test, I will like emphasize certain words or say things differently and be like, remember when you hear this part, it can lead to this, you know.
So, I mean, as far as creating tests for that kind of thing, I mean, since it is multiple choice, do you think it's the best way to just keep with that format?
With
like
them to have multiple
Not just,
choice.
yeah, since state board is multiple choice, do you think it's smart to keep with just all multiple choice, or do you think fill in the blank is a good idea, so
Well,
they'll
I think
retain
fill in
it?
the blank would be more for just like, a study guide or like a assignment
That's what-
or
yeah,
whatever.
Or
to
note-taking.
kind of, yes, to
They're
kind of
just
get
not
it in
there
their
yet.
brain a
They're
little
not,
They're
bit.
just not.
Which was
But-
made very clear,
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
just not there yet.
Okay. And then, you know, I think the one I had the hardest part with when we did this in the meeting was how will they respond to their data? Like, that was a little confusing to me, so it's just, you know, again, forming study groups is an idea, so they could, like, again, partner up and have a little study group. That one's a little hard, cause it's not hard, but you just definitely have to stay on top of it, like, are we actually talking about what we're supposed to be talking about, kind of thing. Finding areas of weakness, so like, same thing with the struggles, it kinda just comes back to what's the biggest struggle, and I think you're right. I don't even know that it's that they don't know how to study, I think it's making time to study. I think you're absolutely right about that,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I think the other part of it too is like, when I see how they do on a test, I go back to the theory. Because like, when they take a test with me, they just have to retake it, and it's different because like, they've already seen it, they just retake it. But I go back to like the way I taught it, and I try to break it apart and be like, did I go through this too fast? Should I slow it down? Should I do more activity? Should I do more hands-on? Should I do like less hands-on? So I think it's more just like the way I taught it. I go back and look
Kind
at
of
like,
reflect.
yeah, like reflect on like the
lesson.
theory portion of it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Or even ask them, you know, like if a majority of them like either failed or got lower scores, have feedback from them. Be like, where,
Yeah.
you know, which part of this is not connecting?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and on your test, like, they even show that, they show like, so all of mine are through Canvas, and it shows like what the majority of them missed and what the majority of them didn't, and all that kind of stuff.
And,
So you
yeah,
can
and
even
so
look through that
I know
stuff.
on the quizzes, when you do quizzes, you can see as they take them, which questions it may be like, so like there might be like only 2 people got the one question wrong, but then there might be like 12 people got this question wrong. So when I go back, like as a class, whenever I did it, I'd be like, okay guys, this one, like almost everybody got wrong. So we're gonna sit and we're gonna talk about this, and we're gonna try to, break it down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then you go and I'd see another one that was like 10 people got this one wrong. So it's like, oh, this is another one that we struggle with. Why is this a struggle?
Exactly.
And so we would talk about it.
So this week, like, I'll be interested to see next week how their color test goes, so I did it where, one of their assignments was they had to create a quiz for me, based off the information that they've done from all their worksheets and stuff like that, so I was like, if you do a fill in the blank, then make me a word bank. If you did multiple choice, obviously give 3 wrong answers and 1 right one, so I'm gonna use what they created as my quiz to see if that helps a little bit too, because they're more, not more invested, but like, I feel like, okay, you created these questions, so now let's see.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna track that, see
Or
if we do any
maybe
better.
do like what you did, but do it for a partner, or like, when they partner up, they need to create one for another group of partners. And then
That way
see-
they can practice more. Cool.
Yeah.
Alright, do you guys, I mean, I like the map, I think it helps you like just kind of slow down and think about what you're gonna teach. But, okay, our last thing on there is setting our PLC goals for this year. So I don't know if you as a teacher have like your own goals that you're trying to meet this year, or if we just wanna create, obviously for our PLC, we need to have general goals, is what I'm guessing. I think our biggest one's gonna be our, Skills USA membership would be a really good one to try to increase
Yeah.
membership. So,
Across the board for the PLC, yeah.
how do I wanna say this? CTSO. It's like, what's the word?
When are we gonna start?
I looked at the website last week and it did not have anything listed where we could register yet,
Okay.
so I was thinking Kelly would probably send something
Okay.
soon. Increase CTSO membership by, you guys wanna try to increase by 5%? Seems doable. 5% sounds good. Alright. And then, I guess obviously for me, I would like to increase certification by 5%, we'll put that too. That's bold, but we're gonna try it.
You can do it.
This year, like, one of the things that will help, and Ms. Jones helped us, is, we reached out to the foundation to see if we could get a grant.
Yeah.
And we're both on it to get the cost of the test covered for both years, so like hers was included on the grant as well, so like, hopefully, if we get that approved, at least their first test will be on us, so that there's no excuse not to sign up for it, there's no excuse not to take it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
increase certification by 5%, I think that's good. Anything else? Yay, PLC. Okay, so next month, agenda ideas, well, by then, we'll probably know more about CTSO, so getting students signed up. For CTSO, and then just, we'll all probably have done an